Greetings. This is Michael Crandell from RightScale, and welcome to our webinar today on business intelligence in the cloud, Agile analytics for powerful, easy, and nimble BI. We're joined today by partners Jaspersoft, Talend, and Vertica to bring you a joint solution, a groundbreaking joint solution for deploying BI in the cloud. My name is Michael, as I mentioned. I'm founder and CEO of RightScale, and I'm joined today by two other speakers. Brian Gentile, would you introduce yourself as well as Matt?
Hello, good day everyone. This is Brian Gentile. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Jaspersoft, and I welcome you to this webinar on cloud computing and business intelligence. With me today from Jaspersoft is Matt Dahlman. Matt is he's a Senior Manager of Sales Engineering and Business Development Engineering here at Jaspersoft, and Matt will be handling technical questions and a demonstration of some of the remarkable things we've hosted for you in the cloud.
Thanks, Brian. We're also joined today, I'd like to point out, by Representatives Dave Menninger from Vertica. He's Vice President of Marketing and Product Management, as well as Param Parvizi from Talend, who's Technical Principal for the U.S. So before we dive in, a quick word about what we'll be covering today. First, we'll give you a brief introduction to what is different about cloud business intelligence, and then a review of the actual components that we've brought together and integrated to create this solution for cloud BI. We will be giving you a live demo of what it looks like both to deploy the solution and then how the solution works once it's up and running, as well as give you some information about a case study. Throughout the presentation, there's an opportunity for live Q&A, question and answer. So please use the Q&A chat window inside the GoToMeeting interface to submit questions. We do have folks from all 4 companies online ready to answer your questions, and then there will also be a period at the end when we'll address some of those questions live. So let's go ahead and dive in. And before we actually dive into cloud BI, I'd like to say a word about cloud itself. And that's because cloud has received so much attention. It's such a hot topic that there's a lot of hype swirling around about cloud and therefore doubt. So we decided to start with some of these great quotations that we've all heard over the last year. Larry Ellison quoted in the Wall Street Journal, is cloud really just everything? We're applying the word to everything. Or the next quote, with apologies to anyone involved in marketing, cloud is stupidity, it's worse than stupidity, it's marketing hype. Or finally, a report that's barely 6 months old right now, calling all the focus on cloud computing irrational exuberance. Well, we're here to tell you that that's not true. Maybe in certain corners of the world it is. But at RightScale, for more than 2 years, we've been engaged with companies deploying production solutions in the cloud. And it's a growing group that we see gaining benefit from cloud computing every day. We've launched more than 500,000 servers in the cloud. We've powered some of the biggest scaling events. One company ran from 40 to nearly 5,000 servers in a single 3-day event. Many tens of millions of servers hours that are managed. So we have a lot of production experience in the cloud, and we see companies gaining benefit every day, particularly from certain kinds of use cases, and I think that's an important point. And to switch back to BI and why we've all of the partners, Jaspersoft and Vertica and Talend, have come together for this solution, is that cloud is really ideal for targeted BI for particular kinds of uses. So anytime you have an event-related, marketing-related kind of production that needs analysis, you now have a solution where you can bring up a cloud BI deployment to do analysis based on that event extremely quickly and meet the needs that you might have for episodic or seasonal analysis. So let's take a quick look for a second at how this entire solution is launched and how easy it's launched when I speak about bringing up a solution instantly. I'm going to drag over into my window a dashboard running RightScale. And so here we are in an account called RightScale Webinar. And what we're looking at is the Design tab, and in particular the macros function within Design. Macros are, just as they are in word processing and so on, capability to run a recorded sequence of steps very easily and quickly. So this first macro that we have here under the Partners section of RightScale is the Business Intelligence Stack from Jaspersoft, Talend, and Vertica. And I'm going to go ahead and run that. What I'm doing now is running a definition that is running a defined set of procedures that will create the definition of servers that I can then run. So all I need to do is pick a security group to run under, because RightScale doesn't want to deal with security choices automatically. And then I say run this macro, and I'm going to call it Cloud BI Webinar to create this deployment. It asks for a name for the security group, so I call it BI Security Group. And what's happening now is RightScale has gone off, and with the technical input from, again, all three partners, it's defining templates for the servers that will run the processes for Jaspersoft, Vertica, and Talend respectively. It's defining all of this, and as well as the glue that will allow these servers to communicate together. And once it finishes in a second here, what you will have seen in about 15 seconds is what would normally take a system administration person days to complete from raw hardware setting up servers. So you can see with the OK button that just finished. And I'm now going to switch to the Manage tab, where we can see that deployment that's just been created. I'd like to manage deployments, so I click on Manage Deployments here. And here's our Cloud BI webinar that we just created. I'll click to go into that deployment. You can see on the right that there are 3 servers defined, but because there are red squares there, it shows us that they're not yet running. So this is going to go ahead and load those server definitions. And all I have to do is click this one button here called Start All. And that easily, I am now running the full BI solution of 3 servers, which will then begin to launch. It takes about 8 or 10 minutes for them to launch. And once that completes, we'll come back later and Matt will give us a demo of what that server configuration actually can produce. So let's go back now to the presentation. And Brian, I'd like to hand it over to you to say a word about how all of this comes together from a componentry point of view.
Thanks, Michael. I'm glad to. And thanks for getting all those services instantiated in the cloud. While those servers are firing up, let's take a look at the complete business intelligence and data warehouse architecture that RightScale and Jaspersoft and Talend and Vertica have created and hosted for customers here in the cloud. This slide shows the complete BI data warehouse architecture, very traditional in its approach, and it's important to point out that all of the products and all of the capabilities are completely hosted in the cloud and made available to customers on demand. Starting from the left, it's a simple matter of getting a wide variety of data sources consolidated using the Talend open source data integration engine, which has, by the way, about 400 connectors for a huge variety of data source types that can bring them together and consolidate them into the Vertica Analytic database, which is hosted in the cloud, fully analytic, columnar-oriented, multi-processing data store that can create a very scalable data warehouse environment in the cloud. Then it's powered, the front end is powered by Jaspersoft, so all the user-facing elements. The Jasper Analysis full OLAP product is available, as well as Jasper Server as a repository-based server and dashboard engine, so that the end result is a fully web-based, completely web-based experience for analysis, reporting, and dashboard creation for business users and technical users, completely hosted in the cloud. On to the next slide, Michael. The question is, what sort of projects and for what reasons would we want to run business intelligence and data warehouse in the cloud? There's two primary answers. One is for significant advantages of agility, and the other is significant architectural advantages. On the agility front, our goal has always been to help more customers do more with business intelligence, believing that not nearly enough customers have access to powerful BI tools today. This BI solution should help significantly. BI in the cloud with these partnerships should enable seasonal projects, sequestered sandboxes that need to be kept separate from production data, or even disposable seasonal data marts that need to come and go through the life of even a short-term project. All of these create a reluctance to create expensive data warehouse systems and BI environments, but basing it all in the cloud and making it an on-demand, pay-as-you-go environment essentially eliminates all of those problems. The architectural advantages are also keen. BI for cloud applications creates a best practices environment already hosted, already created for any size customer in the cloud. Takes away a lot of the problems and constraints of getting a world-class BI solution and data warehouse product up and running quickly, so it dramatically reduces and creates a much faster time to deployment. Let's move on to the next slide. And we'll talk about how Agile Analytics is fit predominantly or very well nicely for the cloud. In the solution that we provided as partners, we are allowing for monthly pay-as-you-go use. So there's no upfront costs. And we've all worked together to provide affordable commercial subscriptions so that you can pay as you go and you pay for the amount of service that you use. It's fully integrated, and as Michael has shown you, getting the full BI stack going at the click of a few buttons is incredibly simple. It's a push-button launch, and what you're going to see in a minute is essentially zero training required for business users based on a full web-based interface, based on powerful Web 2.0 techniques of using AJAX and dynamic HTML and even Flash and the Flex architecture to create a very simple, powerful, end-user-based BI experience purely through the web. All of this is genuinely Agile Analytics fit for the cloud. Let's go forward one slide, and I'll describe for you several use cases, scenarios that we believe this business intelligence in the cloud is going to be particularly well suited for. The first two use cases come from large enterprises. We're working right now with a large financial services firm where they have many needs across the company for business intelligence proof of concepts, where they have the rapid time and rapid need to evaluate BI solutions in particular departments, and they need to keep them low cost and keep them completely separate from production BI environments. So this sandbox that's allowed for fast experimentation and a very low cost managed environment enables this financial services firm to put in place many proofs of concepts and manage them easily as they go. Another enterprise, in this case a large global systems integrator, is working with us on what we refer to as situational or project-based business intelligence. These are episodes where they need the instant-on capability of this Agile Analytics solution in the cloud, where the time frame or the window for the project is so short that if they didn't have this kind of solution, it really wouldn't make sense to pull a world-class BI and data warehouse solution into the fold anyway. So this provides a scenario or a solution where they wouldn't have it. The time saved through being instant on and rich analysis at a very low cost gives them a solution where they wouldn't have one otherwise. We're also working with Scale Venture Partners, which is a classic small company, in that they have essentially no IT resource. They have some very smart people who know a lot about the data that they want to analyze, but they have no IT personnel. And so by having and using a hosted cloud-based BI and data warehouse solution, they don't need to worry about buying, installing, and provisioning and managing servers or data warehouse environments. It's all done for them through this complete cloud BI solution stack. Not only that, but of course they save in capital and operating expenses that they would otherwise have to spend to build such a solution. And the last scenario is maybe one of the most interesting, and it is a cloud-based business itself. We're going to talk to you in a minute about CrowdStar, one of the early successes in this cloud BI solution stack from these four partners. It's a classic Web 2.0 environment where they need a fast time to market. They're essentially analyzing lots of data every day in their cloud-based application. And without this solution, they wouldn't have the possibility to do so. I'm going to be describing that for you in another couple of slides. Michael, I'll give it back to you to give an overview of RightScale.
Thanks a lot. And as we go into that, Brian, it is interesting to get an overview of all these applications. I think you can add RightScale itself to that list. We're a user for many of the same reasons that you just reviewed. As we go into this next section about RightScale, I'd like to pause for a second to run a couple polls, and these will show up automatically on your screen. The first one has to do with cloud usage among our audience today already. The question is, are you using the cloud today, any kind of cloud infrastructure from Amazon, Rackspace, or other providers? So we'll just leave that for a few moments here as people respond, get a sense of what the experience level is out there. It looks like we're running over half of the people have not used the cloud yet, which is great because this is the kind of solution that, that we're showing today that doesn't really require any experience. And let's go ahead and run the next poll, which is focused on business intelligence and what types of cloud BI projects are interesting to the audience. We'll leave that up for just a moment here. And since this is a multiple choice question, I think we've now got most people voting. So there's a lot of curiosity among the audience, but about a third each are interested in multi-tenancy and analytic sandboxes. So thanks for your answers there. Helps inform us as we continue with the presentation. But very quickly, a word about RightScale and our role here. We are not a BI provider ourselves. There's been a little confusion we've heard from our sales force. So what this is a RightScale-enabled business intelligence solution being provided by our three partners, Talon, Vertica, and Jaspersoft. And what RightScale provides in this picture is really one way to think about it. It's a management platform, but it's the glue that helps hold these applications together and allow them to launch seamlessly in a pre-configured state that allows each of the components to come up pre-configured to talk to the others, which really eliminates the need for messy and time-consuming system administration configuration of the solution. We do occupy, as you can see in this graph, the gap or layer between the cloud applications in this case and the low-level cloud infrastructures, really providing the automation, the turnkey push-button solution, and as well as expertise and support to help you once you're up and running and to get up and running. And all of this, what it really delivers in terms of benefits is the confidence that you're running with best practices implementations and the knowledge that you have freedom of choice moving forward and portability among low-level cloud infrastructures so that you're not really locked into any particular provider. So with that said, I'm going to turn it back to you, Brian, to go through in more detail what each of the components provides for us here.
Thanks, Michael. So we're thrilled to be working with Talon, of course, the leading open source data integration company. And what you'll see in the demo and what is available in the cloud from Talon is their full and complete open source data integration tool. It's team-based, provides for a complete business process modeling environment. It's entirely graphical, provides for robust and scalable execution. So you have up to 400 connectors, so that allows you to integrate, transform data from a very wide variety of sources. It has a project-based repository to share across the team, real-time debugging, and so it is their full-fledged, complete data integration tool available here in the cloud. Let's go ahead and click forward to Vertica. Likely what you'd be doing is integrating data from on-premise data sources using the Talon data integration engine into the Vertica cloud-based, multi-processing, columnar-oriented analytic database, a remarkable data warehouse environment fully available in the cloud. It has a shared nothing architecture, distributed storage and workloads so that high availability is automatically built in, even in this cloud edition. Works exactly as it would on-premise. You can add nodes easily for greater performance, scalability, and capacity. And because Vertica has relentlessly pursued standard hardware, the costs of their scaling multi-processing environment is a fraction of what you would pay for many other columnar-oriented or data warehouse environments. So we're thrilled to be working with Talent and Vertica to create this full business intelligence and data warehouse stack in the cloud. One click more and we'll go forward to the Jaspersoft environment. Jaspersoft provides the full, complete business intelligence stack, business intelligence platform available working with the Vertica data store. Over the years, Jaspersoft has built out in an open source fashion complete BI stack, reporting, analytics, dashboarding. Recently, we've introduced integrated in-memory analysis so that our Jasper server product all alone, for instance, can provide for multidimensional pivot and swivel data analysis in the cloud. We also host a multi-tenant version so that the product is completely SaaS enabled. Built entirely on Web 2.0 techniques, Ajax and dynamic HTML, as you'll see in a minute, we've enabled very easy, powerful Web 2.0 ad hoc reporting, analysis, and dashboard creation designed extensively for the business user so that we have a full metadata-based domain and topic layer that abstracts the end user from having to understand the complexities of the queries and the database environment behind it. We've also been very well known for print-ready, pixel-perfect reports, elegant, beautiful dashboards that allow an end user to start exploring and analyzing data from a very comfortable place. Let me give you an example of this stack in action. As Michael clicks forward to the next slide, we'll take a look at CrowdStar, one of the earliest customers to embrace this full, complete cloud BI stack from these partners. CrowdStar creates a Facebook-delivered trivia game called Know-It-All. Know-It-All has already gained millions of customers in the Facebook crowd, and the CrowdStar team, a very small team by the way, needs to analyze 20 million records per day. They wish to do that so that they can groom and refine the gaming environment to better suit the interests of the gamers that are online, so that even within the course of a day they can improve that gaming experience and gain greater loyalty and greater use of the game. Of course, they had a very low budget, and they weren't sure how in the world they could possibly analyze all this data affordably and capably until they saw this complete BI solution stack from this partnership. So now they can source data from a variety of systems, and inside of each day they can analyze and track and help groom and refine their know-it-all gaming service inside of Facebook to the betterment of their product and their service for their customers. We're going to show you a demo of this full stack in just a moment, but before that I'm going to turn it back. Actually, we're going to go there right now. So Matt Dahlman, if you're all set, I'll turn it over to you, and we'll take a look at this full BI solution stack in the cloud. Matt?
Okay, great. Thanks, Brian. Now I'm going to, here, just one moment. I should take control and be able to share my screen. And what you're going to be able to see online is that I'm starting out from the RightScale. I've logged into my RightScale account, and you can see this deployment. We saw earlier Michael showed how to just click the macro and create the deployment. Now I'm going to walk you through just a quick overview of the different pieces of the deployment so you understand in a little more detail what you're getting in the stack and what you've got when you first start out. So let's go through the different pieces. Obviously, we're starting here in RightScale, and we've already seen that a bit. Now I'm going to look at the different pieces in the stack. So starting out with the Vertica database, you can see the server has already been launched. It's up and running. When I click on it, it brings me to a bunch of details about it. You see things like it's running in EC2 is the cloud in this case, and lots of other things. In this case, really, the only important detail for me is to see the public name of this server. And when I click on that, it's going to bring me to a welcome page letting me know what's on the server. Now, keep in mind, this is a welcome page. This is my own server. This isn't out on Vertica.com or something like that. This is my server up and running. There's a lot of getting started and welcome information. There's a lot of documentation. I won't take you through all of that right now, but here you can download the drivers to be able to make your connection up to Vertica in the cloud. You can even directly administer this server. So again, with a pause of about 8, maybe 10 minutes to launch the server, you've got this fully functional database. You can connect to it right from this web server without having to do any install, without having to do any local config. and we've got a connection either straight to the database or an overview to the system itself to configure how this machine is running. So a lot of information here, really with almost no overhead, no work to get started. Okay, next, let's take a look at the same thing for the Talend piece. So again, I'm going to click on my running Talend server, and same thing. The only detail that I care about here is that I see the IP address, or rather the name of this server. So I'll click on that, and it takes me to a separate landing page. And in this case, it's the one running right on my Talend server. And likewise, we've got a bunch of information about the company. We've got information about documentation and getting started. Here, let me show you with the getting started in this case. It's got a brief architecture overview. You can see that grade section in the middle is showing the piece that we've actually just launched, the Talent Administration Center. And then we'll be connecting that both from a web browser and from the TIS Studio, the Talent Integration Suite Studio. You see those two pieces up above the cloud piece. You've got all of the steps here for getting started. It walks you through the things you need to do are to download and install the actual GUI to build your ETL jobs. Now, I've already done that, so we'll switch over to that in a moment and see it in action. It's got the details for setting up your cloud server. Here it's automatically generated the URL to the administrator to show you what's going on there. We'll set up our local projects as well as set up our cloud projects. And now I'm going to jump ahead slightly. I've already got this tab open and logged in. And when you're first using the Talent Administrator, you're going to see just a single user, just this admin at company.com, a default user. Here I've already created another user. And this is the administration where you would create new accounts, create new projects, add in your license information as the getting started explains that you need to. So you do all of your details here. The area where you're likely to spend the most time in the Talent Administrator is going to be here in the Job Conductor. And this is where we're seeing our list of all the available jobs. When you first start, of course, you're not going to have any jobs yet. These sample jobs that I see now are things that we added after launching it. And in fact, soon those will be included as part of the cloud images as well. But for now, it'll start out empty. So you load up these jobs. Common things to do when you've got these jobs are going to be either to maybe to run it right now. Just say, hey, I want to run this job spontaneously right now, or generate it into a compiled version, or deploy it to the server. So we'll do those sort of things now. Or maybe schedule it. You can see I can add a trigger and say this is a job that should run every 15 minutes, or it should be scheduled with a cron type interface. Maybe this is a job that should run every night at 2:30 a.m. We can set sort of time-based schedules like that. Or even really common in the ETL world is to set a file-based trigger. And in this idea, maybe we load the product dimension only after we've FTP'd a large file up to the cloud server, and then we want to run that. So I'll create this job that's called load products, and this is going to pull the file system every 15 seconds and look in the temp folder, and it's going to look for a file called products.go, and once that file has arrived, then it will run the server. So then it'll run this job, so that could be any time. So it's really easy to schedule the jobs. It's easy to load them up here. And in fact, at this point, I haven't run any of the jobs. The other thing we're going to do here is to actually take a look at past performance and see how the jobs are running, make sure they don't take a really extra long time some days, or maybe really short time indicating something went wrong. Okay, but with that quick look at the administrator, let me switch over to give you one look at the client side design tool for designing the Talent ETL jobs. So here you're seeing a sample job. I won't go through all of the details, but you can see the basic idea is that in parallel it's going to load 3 different dimensions that we have in this data warehouse. And to create this job, we used a number of the standard utilities that we've got built into Talend here. So for example, we're seeing more complex ones on the screen now, like to denormalize or renormalize data in cases where your incoming data isn't exactly in the right form. Or if we look at the database connectivity, we're seeing some built-in pieces for working with Vertica, which of course we used in these jobs. Here, rather than spend too much time explaining this job, I'm just going to run this one. I've set it to run just in my local context, so it's going to run right here on my laptop. But we could, using context, we could run it up in the cloud, or this is commonly used to be able to run a job first in development, then in test, and then in production. You just set the context with the appropriate information. So here I'm going to run the job. And you can see these statistics actually start getting displayed on the screen. And so this one will take just a moment to launch here on my machine as the laptop compiles the job. And now we see it loading these files from my machine up into the cloud. You can see some statistics on the different jobs now. The first account in the product file jobs already completed. That one in the middle, the customer jobs, is still running. Hopefully the presentation is updating quick enough for you to see that. Now, just a quick word about performance. You're seeing not tremendous performance here, 800 or 1,200 rows per second. But just keep in mind, those aren't really indicative. This is just a quick sample job built on the laptop here. If we really cared about performance, we'd probably be swapping out these simple inserts for Vertica's bulk updates, which are going to be much, much faster for loading things. But this does give you a feel for how it's going to work. You can see things like the product getting loaded. It filters out. It found some duplicate products that we didn't need to load. So 1,573 rows started out, but looks like about 13 of those didn't make it into the target. And so you've got all this shown on the job here, and all of the same information is going to get logged. So as an administrator, we can just always check on the status of the recent jobs and see how they're going. Okay, with that quick overview of Vertica and Talend, I'm now going to switch over to Jasper Server. Let's back up to my main RightScale deployment screen where we can see the 3 different servers in the stack. And now I'm going to drill down into Jasper Server. Just like with the other 2, the first thing I'll do is click on this server, and it brings up this landing page. It's got documentations, tutorials, frequently asked questions, all sorts of things to help me get started with this stack and help me to understand the Jaspersoft technology. Here I'm just going to log straight into this server. I'm going to log in as a sample user, demo. And we're seeing a dashboard. In this case, it's a pre-built dashboard. It's a sample that ships with Jasper Server, so you'll have all of these same reports to start working with the BI stack yourself. The dashboard's great because it's interactive. I can click on one report and see the data automatically update and show me what's going on just in a given region. I can drill down, say, oh, look, the revenue really improved in November. I want to understand why that is. So I click on that and drill down into the details. And from here, the analysis, think of it as much more interactive than typical reporting is. So I can slice and dice my data, say, oh, well, really, I'm a business analyst. I don't need a lot of training, but I know my business line, and right now I want to focus on the data in the breakfast food. So let's drill down into that. And I want to change the measures that I'm seeing. I don't want to see just sales, but I want to change that. I'd like to also see cost and maybe some profit numbers. And so I've got this simple interface to really interact with my data here. And as I do that, Jasper Server is automatically generating the appropriate SQL queries to pull the data out of Vertica and display it. And in fact, here, Jasper Analysis can do some intelligent caching, so we don't always have to hit this server behind the scenes to get the data. To show you really briefly one of the great things about this stack, if I log back out, I'm going slightly off track here, but I just wanted to show you this because it's such a great benefit of the stack here, is that I mentioned we've got this intelligent caching with Jasper Server. In this case, I've actually disabled the memory caching. So every time a user does some analysis, we always hit the Vertica backend. We can do that because performance is so good right now, even with a big data set, that we don't have to worry about that trade-off. We can always be sure we get fresh data because we're getting such a good response. Okay, but now, here we've seen an existing dashboard. Let me show you how to create your own report and create a dashboard. So I'm going to create a quick ad hoc report. I'm going to work with that same data set we've seen so far. And my first step is to choose which data I care about. In this case, let's create a report based on sales. So I'll grab some fields that might be interesting in this report. Let's grab some information about the different products. And how about some information about the different stores? In this case, I'm running out of time for my demo. I'm just going to grab this whole sub-hierarchy, grab everything in stores without worrying about which piece I'm going to take. Maybe here, let's filter this data. The Jasper Server data domains are going to enforce security, so I can only see data that I'm supposed to see. In my case, I have the right to see all of the data, but maybe for a given report, I only care about data in a given country. So I'm going to add that in as a filter. So I only want to see data in the USA, but I'll make that promptable so I can change it. All right, now let's work on actually designing the report. Here, I've got the fields that I just chose. Let's say I want to create a report based on sales, so I'll drag that in. I want to analyze based on state, how the sales are doing by the different, let's say the different store types. And then maybe, so we're getting this really quick response. It's showing me all the data. Maybe within state, I want to break that down by city, so we'll drag that up as another field here. I can change the all sorts of the display options here. I can change the formatting. Maybe let's show this one as currency. Let's, in fact, here, we'll do one last change with this. Let's say rather than showing this crosstab table view of the data, I'm going to switch over and say I want this same data, but show it to me in a chart. So here we've got the same data I was working with, but now in a chart format. Let's use this in a dashboard. So the final thing that I'm going to show is building up a dashboard. And so just to format this, I'm going to, let's say, hide the legend. Let's say display options. Let's get rid of that background just so it's a nice, simple chart. And let's save this. So I'm going to save it into a public folder where I have the ability to save. Again, based on access rights, I may be able to save in some places but not others. Call this sales report. Okay, so now I've created this report. The final thing that I'm going to show is this dashboard. So the dashboard is where we're going to combine previous reports that I've either created somewhere else, or in this case, here, let's start with this report that I just created now. There's my sales report. Let's grab some canned reports. I'll grab one of the sample reports we created earlier, that top fives report that we saw in one of the, when we first looked at that initial dashboard. Let's move that one over here. You can see I can do all of this really without any training. It's just a drag and drop interface. To finish off this dashboard, let's add in some external content. We'll make it a sort of a mashup. I want to add in a custom URL. And in this case, it's going to be an RSS feed that I've got from somewhere else. Let's expand this out so you can see, in this case, we're getting live news data out of Yahoo. I want to include that in my dashboard. And okay, I know I've run out of time. The last piece I want to show you is this is the one piece where I've cheated just a little bit. And by that I mean everything you're seeing now is stuff you'll automatically have. It's shipping with the cloud demo today. Here I'm going to show one sample report that isn't quite yet available. It'll be announced in September. But this is a sneak peek where we've got these pro charts and maps. So in this case, here, I'll make this a little bit bigger so we can see it. I've added this interactive flash map. And here, let's preview the dashboard to see what we've got now. So in this case, we've combined data that I created myself as a business user, some canned reports that were pre-done, mashed up data with an RSS feed, and now I've also got this pre-built map where I'm seeing different data color-coded to show me what's going on in different states, and from any one of these states I can just click on it, and it's going to drill down into a more detailed report so I can see exactly what's going on there. Okay, with that, I know I've gone a little bit over. I'm going to pass things back to Brian, I think, to give us a little more detail on some success stories or to answer some questions as well.
Hi, Matt. This is Michael. I think Brian already reviewed the case study with CrowdStar, so I think we'll just continue through the end here and then allow some time for Q&A. But thank you very, very much. That was an impressive, very impressive demo, and I'd just like to emphasize the fact that all of this was a live demo running entirely in the cloud. One of the questions that already came in is which part of the BI solution is in the cloud. We'll talk a little bit more about aspects of that, but this is an entirely cloud-based solution, and I was quite impressed, Matt. In fact, it's the first time I've seen California become a red state. But that's just a coloring issue, huh? Okay, with that said, so to wrap up, how can folks who are listening learn more about this solution? Well, we've provided a lot of information hosted at the RightScale site. The URL is up there, rightscale.com/BI, where there is background information about the solution. There's a screencast tutorial on how to set it up, and there's a sign-up page where your information will be automatically communicated to all 4 of the partners so that we can follow up and get you started. And what happens after that is pretty simple. There's a 30-day free trial of all of the full-featured versions from Vertica, Talon, Jaspersoft, as well as a VIP edition of RightScale. Really gives you all the power you need to test this solution out and get it up and running and try it out for yourself. It's one thing that we recommend every day from RightScale is the best way to learn about the cloud and get some experience there is actually pick a pilot project and try it out. It beats just analyzing and reading about what's going on by a mile. So with that said, I'd like to thank everybody for listening and now go into a section of the presentation that enables Q&A, and we have a whole list of questions that have been assembled here. The first 2 are about how somebody can get up and running, how you procure the solution, and then pricing. So I'll take the procurement question, and then Brian, I'll hand over to you to deal with pricing. Basically, what's required is an account with Amazon, an EC2 account, which you can sign up for directly with Amazon if you don't have one. You need a RightScale account, which again is part of the sign-up process I just showed you. You would then run the macro from our partner section that you saw me run at the beginning of the webinar, and you'll have a full functionality trial version from all the vendors. Probably the easiest way to procure is just contact RightScale, and we'll get you all set up with a VIP account and help you through running that macro if you like, as well as put you in touch with the right folks at all of the partner companies. With that said, Brian, could you tell us about pricing for this solution?
Yeah, I'd be glad to, Michael. Vendors have worked closely as partners. We've worked closely together to try to create as consistent a pricing experience as possible. Each of us have come together and are offering prices for our entry-level offering here in the cloud in the hundreds of dollars per month range, so that if a customer were interested in using all 4 of us together in the cloud as we demonstrated today, the starting price would be about $1,700 per month or so. Of course, it's scalable in ranges, so it kind of depends on exactly what you'd like to accomplish. There is a possibility that you wouldn't need to use all 4 of us in the cloud, but I would point out that the fewer of us you use, the more you would need to know and be able to do on your own. because a big part of what we've done so elegantly for you is integrate the 4 environments together so capably in the cloud to make that entry-level price of about $1,700 per month, very, very attractive.
Great, fantastic. Good. Let's launch into some of the Q&A that have come in. And Param, there are a couple questions that I think that are directed to you at Talon. So let me just read through 3 different questions. I think they all address aspects of the same issue. And of course, anyone online among our presenters and QA answers, please also feel free to add. But Param, the questions are this. The first one is, how would you leverage Cloud BI if your data warehouse were hosted on an internal network? The second related question is, do I need to FTP my data to the cloud, or will Talon be able to pick it up from my source environment? And the last one is, can we use Talon to connect non-cloud local company DB as a source to extract data into a target cloud database?
Thank you, Michael. I think actually in a way all the 3 questions are related to each other. So as a general answer, I'd like to point out that at Talon we have over 400 connectors that could pretty much connect to any data sources out there. And this data could be local or data on the cloud. So at Talon we have a fully distributed solution that we can offer to our clients or to our users, where they can actually upload their local data into the cloud using the connector set. And this might require, some of our firewall ports open. That's all it's needed. These ports might be some sockets that the application uses in case it's a database, maybe the JDBC or the database ports. Or actually the clients are able to transfer data within cloud to other cloud instances. The same sort of connectors could be used for this, as well as data from outside sources, like a SaaS kind of model. These could be data from like Salesforce, for example. We have connectors to connect to these applications, move that data into the cloud instance or to the local instance, as well as the templates that you guys saw.
Thanks a lot, Param.
No problem.
Here's a question I'd like to direct to you, Dave, at Vertica. Does it only make sense to use the cloud, considering the economies of scale, only when you have larger deployments?
The size of the deployment is only one factor. I would say that the duration of the deployment is another one. Often smaller deployments might be the more common use case because you don't want to go out and buy make a capital expenditure. Another scenario is where there's a short-lived project. We have customers doing marketing campaigns, and the marketing campaign analysis, tends to be short-lived because the campaigns are short-lived. So it's not just for large deployments. It actually has a lot of applicability in shorter deployments and smaller deployments as well.
Great. And I just remind other participants to mute if you're not answering a question so that we can maintain the audio quality. Let's see. Here's a question I think for you, Brian, or you, Matt, about Jaspersoft. Is the Community Edition available for Jaspersoft, or is the Professional Edition offered as part of this package?
The version that we've demonstrated that's available and hosted in the cloud from Jaspersoft is, of course, our Professional Edition. And that is the version that's available as the Cloud BI offering from Jaspersoft. There's nothing that would prevent a customer from downloading our Community Edition and hosting it in the cloud themselves. But for the purposes of this commercial offering, we intend to maintain and host exclusively our Professional Edition.
Okay, great. And a follow-on question here. Does Jaspersoft support many-to-many joins?
We do support many-to-many joins. The way to make that simple, of course, is to use our semantic layer, our domain and topic designer, part of which Matt demonstrated. So there are a few ways to do it. I'll let Matt add on to my answer with more technical details. I'm sure the person who asked this would like greater technical insight.
Yeah, well, and in fact, given our limited time today, it'll be hard to do too much more, but the short answer is certainly we support many-to-many joins to be able to map more than just a simple parent-to-child relationship.
Great, thanks a lot. Here's a question I would just open up to all three of the partners from Vertica, Talon, and Jaspersoft. The question is, please talk about migration from currently deployed servers, and they've listed MS, SQL, and ASP.NET to the cloud. So I don't have more specifics behind that question, but perhaps somebody would like to say a few words about that.
Do Scott and the other senior guys know that we're the ones who are finding this? Well, yeah, it's like not
and by the way, someone who's on the line here needs to go on mute. Okay, among the partners, who'd like to take that question of please talk about migration from currently deployed servers?
I'll take that one, Michael. This is Parm from Talon. I know there was a question, specific questions about migrating currently data into Vertica. A lot of these could be taken care of through our bulk load components available in Talon. So Talon, that's actually Matt was demoing. You saw we have bulk loaders into Vertica. These connectors use the very native utilities enabled inside the database for loading large data sets into those databases. For example, in case of Vertica, we use their bulk loader capabilities. It's multi-threaded, parallelized, very fast, as well as in the case of Oracle, maybe a lot of people might be familiar, like the SQL loader and so on.
Great. Good. Next question was, what exactly is the role of RightScale? So once again, RightScale is the platform on which these three solutions from Jaspersoft, Talon, and Vertica are deployed. So RightScale is, if you will, a kind of a cloud operating environment that lets these solutions automatically configure themselves to talk to each other and come up as one integrated interoperating solution. RightScale is kind of a cloud management environment, so it's both useful for launching the solutions in a pre-configured cooperating way and also managing them as an ongoing task so that you can see the performance of the solutions, see if the loads on the servers, whether more resources are needed, how they're running, etc. All of that monitoring and control is also provided by RightScale. RightScale itself doesn't provide any BI solution. It's really the underlying platform on which these three providers are running. So that's that question. Let's see. I don't know if you addressed this, Brian, but if someone ends up signing up for this solution, the question is, are 3 or 4 contracts needed to get up and running, or is the account centralized through RightScale?
Yeah, I did not answer that specifically earlier, Michael, and I can say now that if the process would be for a customer to establish contracts with each of the vendors that they wanted to work with in the cloud. So with RightScale, Jaspersoft, Talon, and Vertica, as I said earlier, we have worked hard to make it consistent in terms of pricing and terms and so on. The evaluation environment is purely done through RightScale. So one of the last slides we showed was that you can go to the RightScale site and learn, explore, even evaluate and sign up for a trial that lasts for 30 days, and all of that is managed purely through RightScale. But then in order to move it into production and actually establish contracts at this present time, a customer would need to work with each of us, hopefully quickly, to establish an affordable monthly contract with each of the vendors in the cloud.
Great, and I would just add on to that, as I think you pointed out before, that really a huge amount of the value here is that this solution is really a push-button solution from a technology point of view and a deployment point of view, really unprecedented in terms of delivering that kind of quality of solution with such a ease of launching. Next question is, again, for you, Dave, at Vertica. How much of a performance change, if any, do you see in Vertica as a result of being on the cloud?
Well, we've actually measured the performance difference, and first of all, I want to set the context. You know, Vertica is typically tens or hundreds of times faster than traditional databases. So we do see a slight performance drop, but relative to traditional databases, you're still getting a tremendous increase in performance. But the performance drop of cloud versus, you know, on-premise is less than 10%, usually somewhere in the 5% range. It also varies by type of operation, but we have measured that and have clocked that. You can make up that difference if your SLAs require. If that 10% differential is critical to you, you can add more nodes, which would then boost your performance and potentially make up for any difference caused by virtualization.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Dave. And as we're winding down to the top of the hour, we'd like to be respectful of listeners' time when they attend these webinars. So we have just about 3 minutes left, and I'd like to give each of the partner participants a chance to wrap up in 60 seconds. If you have anything concluding to say, if we could start with you, Param, not to put you on the spot, but if you have any concluding remarks, please share them with us.
Not any specific remarks. Thanks, Michael. Just thank you for everyone for this webinar. And it's been a great pleasure actually working with all the partners to have this solution ready. I guess very excited to have the clients come to us with their questions, with their answers, or their needs for training or anything from the talent side. And definitely glad to work with all you guys. It's been a pleasure.
Well, thanks very much, Param. Dave, any parting words from Vertica?
Sure. I mean, I think this is a general comment, not specific to Vertica, but judging by some of the questions, I think there's still a lot of confusion about the cloud. And I think the lesson that we've learned by working with cloud-based deployments over a year and a half now is that it's no different than any other server you might have in your organization. So you can do all the same things with a remote server that you can do with an on-premises server. And I guess that's the message I'd like to leave with folks who participated today.
Great. Thank you so much for your participation, Dave. And Matt and Brian, thanks so much for partnering with us from Jaspersoft. And please share with us any concluding thoughts you have.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. It's Brian. So I would like to extend thanks to the partners here who have done a lot of heavy lifting to make this a very elegant BI stack in the cloud. I'll echo some of the previous comments. A lot of customer questions have come to us since the original launch of this. Cloud computing is different than SaaS-based computing, and so understanding those differences technically and as a deployment model are important. This is why we tried to establish through this partnership a lot of ways for customers to learn a lot more. So I would really encourage and invite everyone to go to the RightScale, Jaspersoft websites, especially to learn more about the solution that we've shown today, get a number of white papers, case studies, and more information that will help you really understand how and when to use this cloud BI stack and when it can be really put to good use. And we're thrilled at the interest and the demand, and we look forward to working with lots of customers towards implementing this first ever cloud BI solution stack in the cloud.
Yes, super. Thanks a lot, Brian, Matt, Dave, Param. Thanks so much for joining today. Before we sign off, just a quick reminder to everybody listening that there will be a recorded version of this webinar posted up on our website later today. You're welcome to share that with friends and colleagues who didn't get a chance to attend. And if you do have any follow-on questions, we make a very concerted effort to answer every question that comes in. So feel free to log them or send them in via email, and we'll make sure you get your questions answered. With that, many thanks for joining us today, and have a great day.
Muted.